What is up, guys? Happy Tuesday. I think today's Tuesday. Yeah, yesterday was Memorial Day, so today's Tuesday. It's Alonna with 570 Press, and today we are talking with Izzy from Everything But the Everything. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Mus. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's kind of chilly over here. It's kind of sad because it rained our entire Memorial Day weekend, and now it's kind of chilly.
Oh, that's no good.
Yeah, so we have a nice little cold front, I guess.
Well, it's better than being 120 or something. I'd rather be cold than be overheating person.
True, true. I would prefer like the kind of heat that I hear they get in Arizona where it's like dry, like it's heat, but it's not like unbearable heat.
I don't know. Heat's heat as far as I'm concerned. I don't believe in
Yeah,
this
yeah,
mythical dry heat.
yeah, pretty
Uh,
much. So why don't we start off with a general introduction to yourself and your band?
sure. So I've pretty much been a musician you know, for a while since I was 14, and I've always considered myself kind of like a cog in the whole music part of a music producing side, and then I just kind of wanted to do my own band when I got a little fed up with being in a band and the politics and stuff, and at some point I was just like I just want to try to do it on my own, and that's pretty much what the band is all about.
Nice, nice. So that answers my second question, which was how did you become a band? So you just knocked out two questions with one.
Sorry, miss.
So in terms of your band name, how did you come up with it?
Well, there's this band called Everything But the Girl,
Mm-hmm.
and when I first got into house music, that was one of my introductions, and there was just something really cool about the band, their sound and their name, and one day I was just I don't even know when exactly or why that name like popped into my head, but I just kind of saved it. I was like, if I ever start my own band, I'm gonna call it that. So when I finally did, I was like, well, I already got the name. It was reserved years ago, just in case.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. And it's funny how you kind of said, well, if I ever start a band, it's gonna be that name. It's kind of like a manifesting type thing because you said all those years later it was still available. So that's really cool.
Oh, well, thanks, because I'm really good at wishful thinking. I'll say that.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm always like, one day and then but I feel like if you speak it enough, you'll speak it into reality.
Yeah, there's definitely something to that because it's definitely been mentioned by different people in different avenues of this whole
Right.
manifestation, if you will.
Right. Exactly. So you just recently released Blue Sun, featuring Olivia Barchard. I'm probably butchering that name. I'm terrible with pronunciations. Oh my gosh. Um, but what was the songwriting process like for that single? How long did it take you guys to complete that?
It was actually probably one of the quickest, most natural, I guess. I wrote the bass line, and then right when I wrote it, I was just like, wow, that's I like that bass line. And then I gave the song to my friend Jimmy because I was kind of stuck on guitar, and then he came up with this like beautiful guitar thing that I could never do because I'm a total fraud guitar player. And then once it like really took shape, I heard Olivia sing in her latest project, Moon Museum, and I was just like, I should call Olivia. I mean, I'm like, we're friends. What's the worst she could say? No. So yeah, I reached out to her. I showed her the song, and she was like, "Let's do it." Like I hear like a Best Coast kind of vibe to it, and I'm gonna go with it. And I was like, "It's all you, please, please." And that was it, pretty much.
Wow. Wow, pretty cool. And you don't hear of too many songs really starting off with the bass line first. Usually it's like, oh, I came up with these lyrics. Like it was like 4 in the morning and I had this dream about these lyrics. So that's pretty cool that it started off as a bass line first and then everything kind of followed after. Because usually bass and drums are the last things to be added.
Well, I play bass. That's always been my go to instrument, and or my main instrument, I should say. But it was with starting this project that I had to learn how to play guitar and learn how to play keyboards and all the other aspects of putting a song together. So it always starts on bass for me, just because Everything else is I just kind of like fumble my way through it, like hoping for magic. And my girlfriend loves it. She's like, "Oh, it's that song that you were playing over and over, like hitting that note." I was like, "Yes, it's." Oh, I feel terrible for anybody. It's for her for having to listen to me fumble through these things.
Yeah. Don't worry, I'm the exact same way. I'll fumble through it and I'm like, but sometimes I'll just give up. I'm like, you know what? I've had enough of this. I'm out. And then, I won't go back to it for like 3 to 6 weeks or longer. It depends. Sometimes I'll revisit the song. Sometimes I won't ever revisit it. I know I have a bunch on my DAW that I have not touched. And I'm just like, you know what? I hate this. But a lot of times, it'll end up like that. It'll end because I play bass too, and it'll end up like, okay, this could really be something.
Yeah, it sounds like we do the same thing. It's I'll record, I'll set a drum machine pattern, record a bass line, listen to it like a few weeks later, see like, is this does this have any potential? Like be really honest with myself, and then it'll either be like, oh, this is there's something here, or let's just delete it and not waste our time thinking it might have potential.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, how does your current songwriting process differ from Can't Allow? Is it the same? Has your songwriting process always stayed the same, or has it kind of differed since everything that's been going on in the past year?
No, it's pretty much been the same. It's always the I'll write out the bass. I'll start adding components. I guess the only thing that's been changing is I've been reaching out to other musicians to add either guitar or synth. For example, I have a friend Andrew who's really good at Moog type stuff, and I that is like another planet to me. Um, so I'll have a song that I think is fully done, and I'll be like, "Hey Andrew, can you take a listen to this? See if you can add something." And then he'll send it back with all of these new layers that I don't even know how he adds them, and that's I would say that's the biggest difference. But I'll get a song to a certain point. Once it's got an idea, I'll send it to a singer that I think will really match the song, and at the same time, kind of send it to someone like Andrew or my friend Jimmy, and see if they can add something that I'm not hearing, and then it all comes together, and we mix it down, and we have another song.
Nice, nice, cool. So it seems like a lot, goes into it. That's super cool. I respect that a lot. And you can definitely hear the different styles throughout your tracks, and I admire that a lot because, and I say it constantly, a lot of bands can't pull off these different sounding songs, and sometimes, especially with what you hear, sometimes on the radio, it all sounds the same, and you don't know when the song's beginning and when it's ending. And I noticed that you guys kind of have different sounds for each track, and I really respect that a lot.
No, well, thank you very much. I hope that maybe it's just the a veteran musician presence by the producer and everybody who touches the tracks that we all I think the drummer said it best. Where he's like, let play to the song. Don't try to overpower the song or force something on. Like let the song kind of dictate which way you go. And I think if you're open um, to that kind of mentality, then you'll just go wherever the song takes you, and hope it'll end up somewhere unique.
Right, right, exactly. So that brings me to my next question. What was the turning point that made you decide that you wanted to become a full-time musician? Because you had mentioned previously that you've been a musician since you were 14. What kind of made you realize that this is what you wanted to do as a career?
Uh, I believe it was well, it was twofold. In in the mid 2000s, I really pushed it. I was in this band called The Frail, and we were you know talking to labels, and it really felt like we were about to get signed, and it was like full on. Couldn't even have like a regular job because there was always the potential of we're going to go on tours. So my mom refers to that as a slacker job, and and then I got just kind of burnt out with that like big push that didn't really materialize. And after I walked away from music, uh, when I really started to miss it, and that's kind of when the I started this whole everything but the everything project. And when when the song started to come together, I was like, you know what, like I really enjoy doing this, so I'm gonna just ride this out as much as I can, and put as much effort as I can. Schedule of availability, of course.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. That's awesome. I don't know, how to find the proper words for that because I've never heard a story quite like that before. So that's very admirable. I respect that.
I when there was like a good 2 years when I didn't play any music, and I'd be at my restaurant. I'm serving tables, and I could hear the music really faint because they sometimes the volume gets lost amongst the crowd noise, and I would like write bass lines to whatever songs would play like in my head. I'm just like kind of humming along like. Now that's when I realized I'm like, you know what, I miss music. I need to go back, and that was something that I remember like pretty vividly for some reason. I don't
Yeah.
know why.
Yeah, and you know what? Sometimes you need a break to realize what it is that you truly, want to do. I mean, sometimes you have to walk away from something that you were doing and then go back and realize, okay, I really did love this and this is something I really do want to do.
Yeah, that definitely.
Yeah.
I feel like that definitely happened.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I feel like that happens to everybody and a lot of people, won't admit it because they're like, "Oh, I've been doing this since I was 3." But there's always that lapse. Like you're just kind of like, "I'm not doing this," and you won't pick it up for months or years and then all of a sudden just one day you're just like, "Yep, going back."
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I,
cuz the exact same thing happened to me. All throughout high school I was like, "Well, okay, maybe I'll go be a hairstylist." And then all of a sudden senior year I was just like, "I'm going back to doing music." And it just snapped that quick.
yeah, it's some people just really. I was thinking about this, how some people they go to the gym or they go skateboarding or they go on their walk in the park as like the thing that they do, and some of us just like we like to sit in a room and make music.
Yep.
It's just like some people really like going to the gym. I'm not one of those people, but some people I hear.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind going to the gym. I just don't understand people that can get up at like 5 a.m. and like go like on like a 2 mile run. I'm just like, nope.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's like not gonna get it till 10. So
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just like, you know what? You run for me.
yeah, right, right. I'll wait here. I'll wait here.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Call me when you're done.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, how have the effects of the past year affected you as a musician? Has it made you more inspired or kind of the same as you always were?
yeah. It all the extra time really kind of put things into focus, and I would say motivated me in a lot of ways because well with when we were all unemployed, or most of us in the service industry, I just had all this time, and I was like, well, what am I gonna do? And that's when music really helped out because it was I would look at the time and it was like, okay, it's 5 o'clock. I have nothing to do, and then I would go and like lock myself in the studio, and all of a sudden I look up and it's like, oh, it's 11 o'clock. Like 7 hours just went by. Like this is great, and it also helped with everybody else was available, so I was able to contact musicians that were probably otherwise be too busy to do any kind of projects outside of their main band. So that was also pretty good as far as the silver lining of COVID.
Yeah. Yeah, so definitely more inspired. I've had an even split. A lot of bands I've spoken to, they've said yes, they've been more inspired because they've had more time to go into the studio and focus on the music. And then I've had other people say, well, no, because I got so used to just sitting at home watching Netflix all day that that's just what I wanted to do when it came time to do music again. And I relate to both because I did both. I just the when I was laid off from work too, I would just be like, yeah, I'm gonna go write a song, and then I would like find some show on Netflix and just watch that for like my entire day, and I'd be like, okay, well, that's not happening. I'll try again tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, if we did have about a year of that, so I'm definitely not guilty of doing the same because I'm ashamed to say I watched a little bit of Tiger King. Uh, not one of my finest moments, but I did indulge a little in the Tiger King thing.
I can safely say I was marked safe from Tiger King because I did not have Netflix at the time that it was really popular. I only had Hulu and Amazon Prime. So once I finally got Netflix again, I was like, yeah, it's too late to jump on this bandwagon. I'm just gonna forget that that even happened.
It's all for the best. You're definitely not missing out.
Yeah, yeah. So I've heard. Um, so if you can, let's talk a little bit about some new music. Do you have anything coming up? Are you working on anything new?
Oh yeah, yeah. I have a song that's pretty much queued up and ready to go. It features singer Tobias Hawkins. Uh, I my idea was with Blue Sun that I was going to wait 2 months and then release another single. Wait 2 months, release another, and I have a. I've been kind of stockpiling songs in that way. Not all of them are 100% finished, but they're all pretty much pushing towards the end of their cycle or whatever. And the idea is to finish with a big EP towards the end of the year, maybe a little after. That's kind of what I've been working on. So I'm always tinkering, trying to
Yeah.
get creative or whatever.
Yep. And there's always songs that you're like, okay, this will be on the EP. And then there's always ones that you're just like, I'm just gonna keep this for me, and maybe I'll tweak it eventually.
Yeah, yeah. There's I made a list like or three categories where I was like one, two, three. One was pretty much recording ready. Like these are songs that you should consider for singles. There's two, which is like they're kind of ready, and then there's three, which was kind of like what you said. It's like I kind of like this. I don't even know if it's appropriate. I'm just gonna keep it and see what happens. Maybe just save it. Maybe put it out. Who knows?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. And again, I feel like everybody goes through that. I know most of my songs, I think my old band released one song and then I just kept everything else for myself. I'm just like, yeah, maybe one day I'll post this, but not right now because it has to sound absolutely perfect.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then I'll think it's perfect and then I'll listen back. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't like the drums. And then I'll just take the entire drum track out. And I'm just like, all right, starting over.
Yeah, it's I sometimes it's just like you just got to be like, you know what, put it out and just let the chips fall where they may.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. Sometimes you just gotta, kind of turn off that perfectionism and just be like, you know what, I'm just gonna go for it. I'm just gonna give it a shot.
yeah. I think that's the best way to. That's the uh, a good line where turn off that perfectionism because it's if not you can just get stuck in this constant. It's not good enough. Let me keep tweaking, and I mean maybe doing more detrimental, changes to the song instead of just going with the feeling that it originally had.
Yeah, exactly. So, if you could play any venue anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Um, oh, anywhere in the world that changes a couple of things. Um, I guess Red Rocks. I mean, I've seen the pictures. The pictures look amazing. It looks like
Hell
the
yeah.
coolest venue in the world. Yeah, outside of Red Rocks, it would just probably be local San Francisco, the Fillmore. I'd want to play the Fillmore and Red Rocks. Those are my two.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
I hear Red Rocks a lot. I've never been there either, but I've seen pictures and videos of shows from there, and it looks super cool. Like I could definitely understand why everybody would want to play there.
yeah. There's something about the panoramic.
There and Madison Square Garden's a big one too.
Oh, see, I didn't even think about that. I don't know why I just thought of like scenic, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, Madison Square Garden, of course. Downtown is that
Yeah.
Manhattan, New York? I don't know where that
Yeah,
is actually.
exactly. Or that place where they had Woodstock. I forget what it's called. My gosh.
Isn't it just like a field somewhere?
Yeah, yeah, it's just like the field, but like I could have sworn they put like a stage or something there or near it. Something near it, I think. It's like a
Yeah.
venue. I have no idea. I've never been to New York either. So,
Yeah, I'm always like Manhattan. They're like, no, no, everything is not Manhattan. That's my
yeah.
answer to everything.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, "Oh, okay, so Broadway?" They're just like, No, no, it's nowhere near Broadway." I'm just like, "Okay, I'll be for Broadway."
Yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah.
Totally.
So, if you could book your dream tour with everything but the everything included, who would you have on that tour with you?
I would want to go with Depeche Mode for sure. I'm just a huge fan, and uh, as far as like people to come with, well, friends, I would want to go with friends in their bands, and we can all kind of do that together. I think that would be the ideal tour.
Hell yeah, yeah, definitely. I always say support your friends, and I definitely think that that would be, a cool thing to just have a bunch of your friends just on the road with you. I think that'd be awesome. Aside from the friends that you have in the band, you have so many other awesome bands who you're also friends with just on the road with you. I think that'd be so cool.
Yeah, yeah. I, I, with the COVID, I started watching a lot of documentaries, and or music documentaries, I should say, in particular. And one of the things that I picked up on was how, in every scene in all these documentaries, they have the other bands within the scene, and it was really unique to see, like in England, how like the Stones and the Beatles and Cream, they all hung out together. They're all basically part of the same scene, and um, with ZZ Top and in Texas, how they talked about their bands that they grew up in. I feel like in San Francisco, in every city, I'm sure in every scene, there's those bands that make the nucleus of the local scene, and I really love going and supporting our fellow artists, and yeah, touring with them would just be like fun, be like
Yeah,
taking the show on the road.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how who are some artists or bands that inspired your sound? And how do you think your sound sets you apart from other bands in your area?
Um, this is kind of a weird question for me. Not weird. That's the wrong word. But basically, when I started out, the things that inspired me were very uh, like Roosevelt. I mean, Cut Copy. You're talking about like dancey, super produced bands. And when I started making music, I realized that I don't know how to do that. I have no idea like how these synths work. I saw those. The music ended up sounding more like garage and 80s. It's just that's just because I guess it's just I don't know how to play these other instruments, get that kind of sound. But the I think where the music ends up at is yeah, it's 80s Cure, kind of like a little bit of punk rock, just because of my lack of musicianship on some of these other instruments, and I think that's what makes it unique. It's one of my friends put it together, or put it to me this way when we were talking about piano parts. He's like, well, when you really know how to play a piano, you use all the keys, and you think of all these different patterns, these all. But when you don't know how to play a piano, you just do little one note melodies, and there's something magical about a simple one note melody. I think I'm kind of fortunate in that dumb luck kind of way, where it's just like these simple melodies are kind of just paying off for me currently, and making it maybe a little more out of the norm of what else is going on.
Right. Yeah. And like you said, simple melodies, sometimes less is more. And
Yeah.
my prime example, and I say this to everybody, I say this to my students when I teach and everything, and I say, you know, Kurt Cobain only knew three chords on a guitar and he made it work and he became a superstar on it.
Yeah.
So, it literally brings, meaning to the word less is more, Sometimes if you just have it super simple, it's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, the quintessential super simple song is the Rolling Stones "Satisfaction." I mean, how simple is that song? It's like I think they do the same note thing from beginning to end, and I mean,
Exactly.
it's a classic. It's a rocking song. It's got great energy. I mean, simple wins every time.
Exactly. Same thing with Smoked on the Water by Deep Purple. It just has that same repeated simple riff repeated the entire song. And it's simple, but it's a kick ass rock song.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I,
So, what is one track of your own that means a lot to you and why?
the I think this cage with Tobias is the one that probably means the most for me, because of the work that went into that song. It's when it started out, it was so long, and I just kept chipping away at it, and it was just a matter of really working through it and just not giving up on it. It seemed like at every corner it was just a dead stop, dead end, and we just kind of made it work. And Tobias took it in his usual, really dark, ominous um, places that his writing goes, and and just being able to complete that really meant a lot to me for that reason, just because it was early on when I just realized that I was on my own as far as writing music, and so that's why that one means a lot.
Wow, okay. Yeah, that's very admirable, especially like I said, it was like your first time on your own writing music. A lot of people go in blind and they're like, okay, well, what do I do now? Like, I know when I first started writing music, I thought that, you wrote lyrics first and you didn't have to write the instrumentals. And then you learn as you
Yeah,
go when you're on your own. You learn, okay, well, maybe this melody doesn't sound good here, but I could put another one in here. So
yeah,
definitely, and I could definitely understand why that song means a lot to you.
yeah. Like you said, it's learn as you go, just trying different things, and not giving up. Just perseverance to
Yeah,
finish the
it,
objective.
exactly. And a lot of trial and error. When you first start off, you may like something, and then you listen to it 5, 6 years down the road, you're like, oh God, that was awful. But then you realize, you've progressed since then. You're just like, wow, I'm so glad I don't sound like that anymore.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So, what can we expect from you in the future in terms of, hopefully some shows once everything's kind of more back to normal? I know we're starting to get back to normal here, but I'm not sure about there. As far as, music and people who haven't heard of you, what can they expect if they decide to check out your band?
Um, I, I definitely want to get some shows going. I'll be been talking to different musicians and kind of thinking about different ways to approach a set because of all the different singers. So that's definitely in the works, and it'll just be like a when the show comes up, we'll put the band together and arrange a rehearsal schedule. But that's the good thing about dealing with professional musicians is, professional musicians, you tell them a date, they prepare, they show up, they knock it out. I mean, that's kind of what's expected, I guess, at that level. And just as far as the music, just keep doing collaborations, keep trying to um, try different things, different styles, whatever feels natural, whatever feels good, we're gonna go with it. And I'm excited with some of the potential collaborations that I've been in talks with. So I'm just looking forward to keep putting out these songs and keep going.
Oh hell yeah! And I can't wait to hear more. When Bob sent me your music, we get a lot of music on a day to day basis, but you guys were the first band I've heard that I was like, whoa, okay, I got to bring them on like right now, like as soon as possible. I got to get them on the podcast because normally we get inquiries for reviews. So when he said about an interview, I was like, yes, yes, absolutely, no question about it, yes.
That's rad. Thank you very much. This is actually the first interview that I've done where with the band, because usually it was with other bands, and I felt like as the bass player, I'm always in the background somewhere, just kind of being there in support of the band.
Yeah.
It's always the
Oh,
front man singing or doing the
yeah.
focus of the interview. So this is my first one. I'm yeah, maybe a little nervous, but just going with it. And thank you very much again for having me on here.
Of course, and thank you so much for coming on. And I get exactly what you're saying about the bass player. When the bands are doing interviews, it's normally it's the lead guitarist and the vocalist, and you're just like, okay, and you're just sitting there, you're just minding your own business, and then somebody asks you a question, you're like, wait, what? Are you talking to me? Like,
Yeah,
you
it's like
noticed me?
yeah, it's like you're the bass player. No, you're just no one's talking to you. It's we're talking to the
Yeah,
the bar
exactly.
back, not you.
Ex-
Yeah,
ex- exactly. Unless you're Gene Simmons, and you're just like, well, yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah,
no,
yeah.
thank you so much for coming on. This was great, and
No,
hopefully sometime we can do a in-person interview and things of that nature, because I always like to talk with people in person. I feel like you can kind of get a better vibe, and things like that. It's kind of difficult to do it, virtually, but all in all, it's still, awesome. And I thank you so much for coming on.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. And anytime, in person or via StreamYard, I'm open to talking it up with you. Thank you.